What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of Shudder original movie called What Josiah Saw. What did he see? Let's get into it. So what Josiah saw today, wow, that's really hard to say, by the way. What Josiah saw? Anyway, so What Josiah Saw came out today for Shudder, and I got to say, I just watched it, and I really enjoyed it. Right up front, I'm just going to tell you, I was a little kind of on the fence while watching it in some moments, but there is some really good shit to talk about this. Maybe some things that people might not like, so let's get into it. It's a story about a family that is reunited through all of these different people with different stories that are going on simultaneously, and it is all coming to a head in one spot. Now, there are some very dark things that are happening. You're not really sure. There's a lot of atmosphere and a lot of mystery that goes along with this, but there's some excellent story writing, I feel, in this movie. This is by director Vincent Grishaw, who I've never actually heard of. He's done 2 movies, And Then I Go, as well as another movie called Cold Water. And this is written by Robert Allen Dilts, who did a short called Iliki, and that's it. He's got another movie called Anatomy that he's working on right now. But holy shit, wow, way to come out of the fucking gate, dude. Like, this is pretty great stuff. We got a lot of really good talent in here that I've seen in a lot of different movies. Like, we got Robert Patrick, who, you know, has been doing some odd stuff as of lately, a lot of horror movies. Nick Stahl from Hunter x Hunter, which was fantastic. Jake Weber from, God, I haven't seen him since, like, I mean, I'm sure he's been in some stuff, but I always remember him from Dawn of the Dead remake. Kelly Garner, Scott Hayes. We got a bunch of people that are really great at acting that are doing a fantastic job in this movie. The score, by the way, in this movie is fan-fucking-tastic. It is not too much and just enough, and the builds and the swells and everything really help push this movie along. A lot of people are saying that the score is better than the movie, but I disagree. There's a lot of comments about this movie not being as horror as it's supposed to be, but to me, horror is a pretty wide swath of different things. You know, horror doesn't necessarily mean scary all the time. You know, when it comes to being scary, that is subjective, I would say, a little bit more, because what scares you will not scare the person sitting next to you experiencing the same life and perception as you. All of the weird sort of things that we've experienced in life that have brought us to that point, and everybody has a different experience, so something is going to resonate with somebody else a little bit more than others. Did I resonate with this dark past in a way? I think in some ways, yes, because I think families have a lot of issues in the past and that follow you into the future that you may not or may realize, I don't know, but a lot of people don't until they go through therapy and realize, holy shit, no wonder I've been picking all these toxic people in my life for my whole life, because this was the fucking nest egg. This was the aquarium that I came out of. People in this family are dealing with a very tragic past event that has brought them all together and sort of paying for their sins. That's essentially the vibe that I'm getting here. Now, by the end of the movie, you may have a lot of questions, as I did, and it's something that you're going to want to sit and think about and kind of let percolate in your brain. But the journey there to the end is with a lot of really interesting kind of story elements that are happening, a lot of different characters that you're meeting and that are doing some pretty crude and disgusting behavior. In fact, there's a scene with Robert Patrick, who is playing Josiah, and his son. It is made me a little uncomfortable, let's just put it that way. I think you know what I'm talking about. It definitely does not shy away from the reality of life, meaning that it is showing all the abrasive behaviors, nature, and kind of the dark side of just about everyone. There's not really that many good people in this movie, good-natured, I mean. One of those movies that's trying to blur the line between who is a good person and who is a bad person, and who you are based on the past history of your own family. And that is one of the more interesting things for me, and is painting the horror for a lot of people. Now, maybe you don't have a horrible past with your family that has followed you into the future, but there are a lot of people out there who have, and that horror is very real to them, in my opinion. And this person, this director and this writer really nail it. This movie reminds me of, like, slightly now, by the way, because I feel like this is an original movie and it kind of is doing its own thing while still sort of kind of mixing in a few other elements and kind of alluding to a supernatural kind of thing. But it's actually kind of like Dark and the Wicked, which was another Shudder movie that I really enjoyed. It didn't really go 100% of the distance with, like, connecting the message, but it's in there. And also No Country for Old Men. And I mean that in a weird mix, not like exactly, but there are some performances in here that are very country, very authentic, that kind of remind me of No Country for Old Men, while also giving that sort of atmosphere that you get from The Dark and Wicked, which, combining the two, is a pretty win-win situation for me. Now, it's not going to be for everybody, apparently, because I've gone through and seen some of the actual reviews for this, and a lot of people are saying, oh, where's the horror? Where's the horror? I don't know about you guys, but I was pretty fucking gripped to the story the entire time while watching this. It is interesting and it is subtle. It is just an unsettling feeling that you get while watching this movie. I would say it's a slow burn, but it's really not. I mean, it kind of is, but if you're really paying attention and you're locked into the story, you should be carried pretty well to the end. I like how the story was written to kind of throw me off, also kind of make me question my own personal things. There's like this sort of dialogue going on in your head when you watch this movie, like, who's the good guy, you know, and you're trying to relate and find that. And this movie kind of toys with you in that regard. And I think that's kind of rather genius. Maybe that's just me, and maybe you didn't experience that, but that's what I got from this movie. It was really trying to blur that line between what is a good and bad thing. And if you've been affected by something in your past, does that make you a bad person? Does that carry over and you are just infected with this bad curse, so to speak? But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and it's really hard to score because it's not your typical horror movie, and I totally understand when people say, where's the horror? But like I said, if you like those two movies, you might like this one. The Dark and the Wicked and No Country for Old Men mixed together in this own original sort of story that kind of leads you on until the very end and reveals its hand in a very crude way. This movie is pretty raw. This is one of my favorite films that I've seen this year. I'm somewhere between an 8.5 and maybe even a 9. As far as the horror, it's a little lower, obviously, so, you know, that's the rough part for me, but it still has enough atmosphere and supernatural sort of vibe thing going on that it does pack a punch with the horror, and you're going to feel this atmosphere just creep up on you and unsettle you. The movie's saying that it is a horror thriller. It's somewhere in between. But yeah, what did you guys think? Did you see this movie? It's up on Shudder now, so if you have a subscription, you can watch it immediately. I will definitely be picking this movie up on Blu-ray if they have it. I would love to get it because I think it's a fantastic film that is well acted with a great storyline, and it really had me just from start to finish. So, but I would love to hear what you guys think. Please sound off in the comments down below. If you didn't like it, if you liked it, why you didn't like it, why you did like it. Try not to spoil too much, but if you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. But thank you so much for coming by, and as always, long live the void.